Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the Pueblo Chieftain. My name is John Flynn.
Thank you for joining us for the parenting program. My name is Angie Flynn.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode number 7 of the Volunteer Spotlight, brought to you by the Audio Information Network of Colorado. I'm your host, Evan Starnes, and I'm really excited to bring you guys today's episode. It's a bit of a special one. Normally, each and every month, we nominate one particular volunteer, but this month, we actually nominated 2 volunteers. So joining me today are 2 really, really awesome volunteers that have not only been readers, but they've also helped us out at events and at our audio trekkers bringing print to life hikes. And they've just been incredible individuals. And they're also parents to Alex Flynn, our senior programming manager. So without further ado, here is John and Angie Flynn. I should also mention we do have a third guest in the form of a 4-legged friend, and that would be their dog, Noble. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a mic, so she won't be able to leave any remarks today, sadly. But without further ado, here is John and Angie Flynn. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, Evan. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Evan.
Yeah, thanks for coming to AINC, and thanks for letting me interview you guys, and congratulations on being selected as the VOM.
Thank you.
All right, so first of all, I always like to spice up the show with some fun little questions, and we got some better ones this time around. First question for you guys. John, what is your personal favorite activity to do in your leisure activity?
Oh, well, there are several, but now that I've lived in Colorado for 25 years, I enjoy lots of outdoor activities, and camping and hiking are probably my favorite things to do.
That's awesome.
We do a lot of those things, all as a family, and including Noble, who especially loves those things. And there's so many great places around Colorado to do that.
Absolutely. Do you have a particular funny or notable hike story?
I can't think of anything. We've hiked in some really nice places,
Sure.
But no real dramatic stories that I can think of.
Oh, I have a hike story that I'll share.
Okay.
I was hiking with a friend, and this was the Rocky Mountain National Park. We turned a corner, and there was a moose, and I had no idea how big like a moose could get, but my head was up to the moose's chest, and it was right there. And there was a photographer guy hiking behind us, and my friend screamed, and the moose charged, and I ran behind a tree, which I did not know, but that is exactly what you're supposed to do, is hide behind a tree.
Wow.
And the moose went on their way. But the person behind us told us that we were in a very dangerous situation and that we were extremely lucky. And I didn't realize it at the time. And looking back, I'm glad I knew to duck behind a tree, but that's probably the most exciting thing that's happened to me on a hike.
I wonder if that was an instinctive thing. That's interesting to think about, but also terrifying to imagine a moose charging directly at you. I think that would.
Yeah.
I'd probably jump into the tree. I don't even know if I'd be able to hide behind the tree. I think I'd try and make a giant leap into the tree instead. Personally.
Yeah, I had no time to think. Literally, it was like a millisecond, and I had to do something. And I'm glad my instincts took over because it was the right thing.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely all about the hike stories. Our audio trekkers bringing print to life hike is coming up this August, so please go ahead and sign up, aincolorado.org/hike. Wow, though, that is one heck of a story right there. Next question, you guys. What is your favorite hot beverage? I particularly like and drink quite a lot of coffee, but what do you guys prefer?
Well, for me, it's also coffee. I was just mentioning to Angie yesterday that I'm not a coffee snob, and if it's hot and it's brown colored, then pretty much I enjoy it. So I'll drink any kind of hot coffee. I hate iced coffee, though.
Really?
But if we're talking hot drinks, then hot coffee is it for me.
Yeah.
I would say I am a coffee snob. I like to have my cappuccinos every day, and that's an expensive habit. But I like to go to Starbucks and get the tallest cappuccino they can. That's a venti cappuccino, and it has to have cinnamon sprinkled on top. But what I really like is getting the pup cup for Noble. Noble now knows what Starbucks is, and she eagerly awaits when we go through the drive-through and she gets her little cup of whipped cream.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that they have the pup cup. I will say I am proud to admit I am 100% a coffee snob. I will always be a coffee snob. It's fun to be a coffee snob.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty fun. Anyway, I figured we could jump straight into the volunteer side of things. So from both of you guys, I'd like to know, because I know originally when Alex came to the Audio Information Network, she actually started out as a volunteer reader herself. So I'd like to know how you guys got your feet in the door here at AINC and how you first heard about us and what it was like getting involved.
Well, I first got involved when Alex asked me to come and record some PSAs, probably less than 1 minute long public service announcements that get interspersed in between the various audio programs. So she needed people to read those. And I think she used to, if she couldn't find people to record those, she had to do those herself. And that she didn't really have time for that. So she was always looking for friends and family members to come and do that. So that was really my first experience with any kind of audio recording. But it was very easy because these things were each less than a minute long. I could do just as many as I had time for. And it was also convenient because the office where I worked at the time a few years ago was just right down the street from here at the studios. So I was able to come by and do that very conveniently. And it was fun. And I was helping out Alex. So that's really was how I started. I wasn't even fully aware at the time of what AINC did or the breadth of services and the complexity of all the things that happen, over the whole state of Colorado. But that was my little corner, my little thing that I did. And only later, maybe after, I don't know, a few months, did I ask to do a real program, on a regular basis.
And I imagine that's when you got the Pueblo Chieftain.
Right. So I think I just let Alex choose some program that needed a reader. So, and I didn't really have a preference much for what it was. So I got the Pueblo Chieftain, and I didn't know anything about Pueblo. I barely even knew where Pueblo was, but I've really enjoyed reading the Pueblo Chieftain every week. I read the Friday edition every week, and I at this point I feel like I know Pueblo. I have only ever been through there maybe once driving through, but I feel like I know the town, and I know the name of the mayor, and I know the name of the superintendent of schools, and all the streets and the restaurants, and so I almost feel like it's a second hometown, even though I've only been there maybe once.
You never really been there much.
That's right, but
that's the cool part about newspapers, and about reading them, is you really do start to learn, especially if it's like a very specific aerial newspaper like the Greeley Tribune, the Pueblo Chieftain. You really do start to learn a lot about the specifics of the area, which is kind of a added bonus, I guess.
Yes, and it's almost entirely local news. It's really, truly news all about Pueblo and a couple of the surrounding towns. That right. They probably have their own papers as well, but occasionally little stories about maybe Canyon City pop up. But it really is just the local area. So I sort of go on the assumption that the listeners of the Pueblo chieftain would like to hear those local stories. So that's what I try to stick to. Only if I run out of something do I read some of the regional or national stories that appear in the paper. But I'm able to stick to the local stories. And I mean, it's a cool little town, and there's I'm sure the news items that pop up are of great interest to people that live there, and I'm really happy to be able to, help fill them in on their news of what's happening in their town.
Absolutely. And Angie, you've been reading the Parents Magazine program for quite some time now. So how did you first get started as a reader reading Parents Magazine? Because I imagine you have also partaken in the recording of PSAs.
Yeah, I started out with PSAs, and I've done studio work before. I've actually recorded a CD years ago with PME Records, and I thought this would be similar, but it's very different, a different learning curve. And I started out with PSAs with Alex, needing someone to do that, and then switched to the parenting podcast, which I love doing. Interesting that a new job I have is working with teens in telehealth. So there's a lot of things I read in parenting magazines that are helpful and apply to some things that I might be teaching in my other job. So I kind of like that I'm doing something that applies both places. But I try to think of something I can do different each time to gradually improve my reading skills, whether it's enunciation or picking the articles in a way that they flow together better, things like that. And I enjoy just helping out, here at AINC. And
well, first of all, I didn't know you made a CD before. That's incredibly cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. But that is really cool. And the fact that you not only are you helping potential blind parents out or parents of blind children out, but you're also, it's benefiting you in your career. That's, again, another one of those little added bonuses of being a volunteer reader.
For sure. Yeah.
Both of you guys have been excellent readers. I need to shout that out. It's definitely important when reading to, pay attention to your cadence. And I say that because some people think, you just get to sit in front of a mic and read, but, there's a lot more to it. And it's nice to see the work that you guys put into your programs.
Thank you.
I figured now that we could transition over to the hike, because that's definitely personally what I've been looking forward to talking about. So in 2021, you guys attended our Audio Trekkers hike, the first Audio Trekkers hike we ever did. So were you guys hikers, or did you guys also help with the event itself?
Well, we certainly did the hike, at least to the halfway point up Arapahoe Basin, although I think I made it all the way to the top, which was a very difficult walk, I must say, but it was very rewarding. I believe we helped out, maybe not in an official way.
We helped out with the T-shirts and handing out the canes, the walking canes and T-shirts.
The trekking poles.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the hike the next year and then this upcoming one, I think we'll be doing a lot more to direct volunteering to help out with the event. So, but that first one, the highlight for me was the actual hike itself. It was just a gorgeous place, a gorgeous mountain. I had been on the mountain before skiing several times. That was one of my regular skiing locations. And that was always obviously in the winter. I had never been up there during the summer, and it's just such a beautiful place. Really, so was the place we hiked last year, and this one
up in Vail,
and then this one we're going to hike this year. But Royal Arch. Those are all beautiful places, and but the hike itself is nothing to sneeze at. These are, it'll get your blood moving to do these walks, and that's, for me, that's one of the reasons I like to hike. That's a major exercise activity that a person can do, and it's, if you've got to do exercise while doing it in a beautiful mountain environment, is the way to do it, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd describe it as therapeutic. Just being able to hear and smell and just feel all of the wild, well, whatever wildlife there is around you, the plants and the trees, and being able to sometimes hear, water. Some, like the first hike we went on, there was I remember in particular, we were on the trail and there was a particular spot that had like I don't know if it was like a creek or what it was, but it was, it was a very relaxing waterfall-esque sound, and I even recorded some of it. I'm glad you guys came on the hikes, and of course, needless to say, Noble definitely accompanied you guys. That was the first time I think that was the first time I'd even met her. But yeah, this year's going to be a little different because, we're meeting here at AINC instead of, up in somewhere in like Vail or somewhere up in the mountains. And I think it's going to be, it's going to have a different feel, but it's still going to be just as awesome.
I agree. And I want to say, as a nurse, in August, hiking at a lower altitude, everybody wear your hats and your sunscreen and stay hydrated. I wanted to add that.
Especially, I'm glad you did. And especially stay hydrated. Yes. It's freaky. Heat stroke is no joke, man.
Yeah.
That's best way to put it.
Well, certainly, logistically speaking, I imagine keeping the whole event more within the Boulder town area has got to make things a lot easier. It's just as far as transportation and time commitment for people and things like that. So it's not like you're sacrificing anything on the hike itself. I mean, Royal Arch hike is a very beautiful hike to take, very popular for people that live around Boulder.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be meeting a lot more people than previous hikes. Yes. And I will say that first hike was difficult in some ways.
Yes, but nothing wrong with that. I mean, like I said before, if I'm not a fan really of exercising just for the sake of doing it. I mean, I know some people are, but for me, there has to be a payoff. There has to be a reward. And being in a beautiful place is the reward for me. And it's funny because we were just, when we go do our own hikes on the weekends or whenever we do, lately it's come up several times. We're hiking in a place and we just stop for a second and we say, this would be perfect for a future ANC hike because, we're standing in a place, the air just tastes different. You've got, and the sounds are different than you get anywhere else, and the smells. So there's so many places that I think we've already given Alex some recommendations on places that we could do hikes in future years.
Yeah, we did Myers Trail up Flagstaff. Myers Gulch with Noble and Alex on the weekend, and we thought that would be a great place for a future hike. It's 5 miles round trip, and it's steady uphill, so it'll give you a good workout.
It's steady uphill and then steady downhill.
Steady downhill on the way back, yeah.
That's how it works.
Well, that sounds pretty doable, and hey, maybe we will hike. I actually personally would love to do a 5 mile hike. That might be longer for some people, but I think that'd be awesome, especially if it's just a steady, because the first hike had all those like stairs and rocks and stuff like that. Also, totally forgot and meant to ask you guys this earlier regarding the first hike. Did you guys have any of the celebratory beer at the bottom?
I don't think I did.
I had some kind of drink at the end. It seems like there was a Bloody Mary, but that was like 3 years ago.
I know.
Trying to remember now. But yeah, we definitely celebrated. when we got back. So that was fun.
And we'll celebrate when we get back from this hike as well. And there's going to be barbecue. I think there's going to be burgers. I know there's going to be grills, a grill there, and there's going to be a lot of your typical celebratory food, if you will, that you'd expect when going to an event, burgers, hot dogs, and I'm not sure what there's going to be for drinks. There might be beer, there might not be beer, but we'll celebrate. We've now come to the point where you guys have the opportunity to ask me or the whole of AINC any questions you guys have.
Oh, did you decide on a name change? And what's the future location? Is there any updates on any of that?
Unfortunately, we don't have any major updates regarding the name change. We're still kind of combing through proposed names and just discussing them as a team. And we're also still trying to figure out, we're still looking at at office buildings. We don't know where we're going to be yet. And perhaps maybe we'll probably have more details in the next probably couple months. But yeah, right now we're just having to iron out a whole bunch of other stuff when it comes to the relocation of AINC or whatever we're going to be called in the future.
Okay. Still gathering your information then.
Yeah, gathering our information indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I guess luckily now that, most volunteers, certainly me and Angie, do our recording from home, it's less critical about location of the studios in terms of us being able to regularly come visit to do that.
Go hop in the studios, yeah.
Right.
Do you guys have any words of inspiration or advice for existing or potentially new volunteers?
I would say just dive in and do it, and you get better with time.
I agree with
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I think I have had very helpful advice from the AINC staff on just how to improve my recording, and I don't think I'm naturally very good at it. Not as good as Angie. Angie really has always sounded great and professional when she does hers, but I've definitely improved just by doing it for several years, and I try to pay attention to how I am speaking and what I am saying, and I think little by little, I make little improvements. Although I think getting the advice from the professionals here at AINC is what improves me the most.
Jonathan's workshop was awesome, and he's a great resource. So that's another thing I wanted to add.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Super glad to hear that. Yeah, you guys, for those who don't know, we do offer on the occasion voiceover boot camps. So if you guys want to improve your quality or just get some general tips from a professional that has had years and years of experience, we offer it, and it's at a really, really good price, especially, and it's free for volunteers, I believe. Yeah.
That is a good price.
So, right? Free is always a good price.
Well, I think, and my only other advice to anyone who's thinking about it is anyone can do it. It's just reading. It's reading something that off the paper and recording it. And I think it's natural. People who do it for an extended period of time will just naturally get better and better, whether they want to or not. So it's really, no one should be afraid of doing the recording. I came into this without having any experience whatsoever with any kind of recording.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Love hearing that. I will say a lot of people I have talked to have been kind of intimidated by the mic because, especially if you go into a studio, you're sitting and you got this giant mic sitting straight in front of your face. And I think a lot of people are just intimidated at the concept of just being recorded, perhaps, or how are they going to sound, on air? Or, But yeah, that is really good advice, honestly. Do you guys have anything else before we close out this 7th episode?
Noble doesn't have anything. She's fast asleep here on the floor, so nothing else from
Nothing
us.
from Noble.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you both for coming to AINC and for being on today's episode of the Volunteer Spotlight. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for any news from AINC. In fact, you guys should have gotten our newsletter a few days ago as well. With that being said, I've been your host, Evan Starnes. This is John and Angie Flynn, and of course, Noble Flynn. And we will catch you guys in the next episode. Take care and have an amazing rest of your day, night, or, whenever you happen to be listening to this episode.